What's up? Um, it's been a while. I didn't want to make a video, I wouldn't have put up a video before I actually finished out um my second Columbia interview vid. But I was just like, I'm just gonna make this video and I'm going to say that I'm going to put out the Columbia vid by the end of the week. The whole thing is just translation and timing of the transcripts so that you can um, understand what's being said, because in this, the secondary clip that I'm working on, which is 15 minutes long, we're talking about Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and Black revolutionary struggles in Colombia, and I think it would be interesting, and also some literary work. Of Black authors in Colombia. And for those of you who don't know, there's a vibrant Afro-Colombian movement that is really seeking recognition and respect in Colombia. There's a lot of Afro-Colombians who are very proud of their African ethnicity or ancestry. African selves and want to be recognized as a part of the society, whereas Colombian society really doesn't really accept them. But my whole thing with that is that it's similar to integration in that, you know, what integration did was asked for acceptance by the white minority um, or white people who um, really have historically proven themselves to be unworthy of us asking them for shit. Um, Still to this day, they continue to go around the world oppressing people and committing vile, heinous crimes um, wherever they are. And so similar to integration, I don't think that any African person should be seeking to gain approval from white people on anything. But nevertheless, there is a strong Afro-Colombian recognition movement going on in Colombia, and so what my interview, this portion of the interview, is going to really talk about is just some of the revolutionary movements, colonial and post-colonial, that have happened with Africans in Colombia. So hopefully I'll get that translated and put out by this weekend. But what I wanted to talk about was some things that my daughter had been saying to me recently. For those who do not know, I have a 13-year-old daughter who sometimes she's a real critical thinker. I love her for that. She's smart. And sometimes she gets it, and other times it's jumbled by a lot of things. And so my role as a mother is to really um answer her questions, and if anything, provide my own advice and my own thought processes. And despite what any of you may think, my role as I don't lecture, I don't impose my viewpoints on my daughter. I just tell her how I feel. She knows how I work. She knows what I do. And, she, accepts it or rejects it or can see how it is. My daughter contradicts herself a lot of times with what she tells me not to do and what she actually observes with her own eyes. And I have to remember that she's 13 years old. And at 13 years old, all I wanted to do was kiss boys, and and I had no care in the world. I wasn't political, and I don't expect her to be political at 13. But there are a lot of things that she's questioning at 13 that I never questioned. And what I later came to realize, and my hope that as a mother, I don't exert my viewpoint on her, because I think that if you overexert your viewpoint on your children, what they're going to do later on is have this, they won't be able to really form their own opinion because mommy done told them everything. And I want my daughter to be a critical thinker and observe and come to her own conclusions, and even if that conclusion is opposite what I think. So my daughter has said a couple of things to me even this past week, and today we had a conversation. Well, sorry, today we had one of those lectures that I don't like to have because I hate lecturing my daughter. Um, but she says to me, she asked me a question, which was, Mommy, how long has your organization, APSP, been in existence? I said, oh, since the 60s. And she was just like, and what has been done? What have they done since then? What has changed? I think that was her question. What has changed? I'm just like, excuse me? I got so defensive. I'm just like, what? What do you mean what has changed? What has the organization done to change the situation? I don't see anything that's different. And I was just like, ah. I said, well, um, APSP is a revolution organization. It has ideology, and in many instances, it has organizations underneath itself that create situations of economic self-determination, economic empowerment, development, and that really bring to the consciousness of many Africans some of the practices and theories of African internationalism. And where we are, and I told her, where we are, we're in Canada, we're in United Kingdom, we're in Bahamas, we're in South America, Colombia to be specific, we're in the United States. And I said, we are in different places. And I said, unfortunately, there isn't mass amounts of us, but I think that when Africans really start to wake up, oh, sorry, and we're in Africa, in different places in Africa. I said, and Africans really start to wake up, we're going to be there. And and pretty much my job right now, and even though you can't see the immediate results of it, but my job is to work like a dog to crush imperialism. You understand what I'm saying? So whether or not you see some immediate result, um, right now is null and void. It's like I'm doing what I need to do to make sure that I'm a part of this work to destroy the thing that I think that I know is oppressing African people. And hopefully my work combined with other Africans' work is going to bring down and lessen the blow of imperialism on African people. And so this is pretty much how I put it out to her. And then I started lecturing her and giving her historical references of African people who have struggled. And she was just like, well, it's not just Black people that experience oppression. And this I know. And as an African internationalist, we align ourselves with other oppressed people, even though some of you Black nationalists and race nationalists don't like to align yourself with other oppressed people. But as an African internationalist, I can't recognize my own oppression and then say pshaw to anybody else's other oppression, because then I become sort of like an oppressor to other people. And as an African who is a human being, as an African human, I cannot be an oppressor to any other people. Um, so, I said we don't hold ourselves above and beyond any other oppressed person. We see ourselves aligning with other oppressed people to work to bring about the end of imperialism, which has used itself to divide and conquer people, create races, and all these other things that you can go on ahuramovement.org to look at the ideology of African internationalism to find out more about that. But anyway, so we went into that. And so I was just very taken aback because, I'm just like, what the hell? What you asking me these questions for, son? And SUN, so I'm just like, and it just really took me aback, because I know she's been thinking like, what are we doing this for? Oh, African people aren't really suffering. We've made it. We're better off. And I was just like, how are we better off? And that's when I started to go into historical references of African people, etc. So that was one thing. That was today. The other day, she said to me, something about wanting to date an Asian boy eventually because she thinks that Asian boys are so cute. My theory is, listen, I would prefer her to date and marry a Black man. Please understand. But if that's not her flow for right now, that's not her thought process. I said there are many colors before you get to white people, and if anything, explore those colors, right? So she said that she wanted to, she was at her friend's. One of her best friends is Mexican, and she was at their house, And the parents was just like, oh, Naja, you're gonna marry a Mexican boy. And so that's how the conversation came up with her, thinking that, Chinese boys are cute. And I went into this whole thing about not predisposing yourself to people, and particular, I was like, we don't want no white boys, but don't predispose yourself just to Asian boys. I mean, like, and then I said, black boys, she said, I said, black boys and black men are awesome, they're beautiful, etc. And she said to me, black men don't like black women. I said, what? She said, black men don't like black women. I said, where did you get this from? She said, all you have to do is look outside. They don't ever date us. They don't date black women. And I was just like, oh, pshaw. Yes, they do. And then we went out, um, and we saw like we saw black couples, but we also saw um more vividly than usually in a regular day-to-day life. We saw, black men with white women and their children. And I told this to my sister. She was just like, what are you talking about? And then she looked around. She's like, oh shit. And that's the idea. That's the thing that um our black little girls and black little boys are seeing now. They're being sensitized to the fact that um even if they're not hearing the kind of discussion and discourse that we're having on YouTube or any other place, they are being, through media and other areas, pushed or um, encouraged to date other people. I mean, I had a problem with TV for a while in terms of more and more you'll see black men on television episodes with white women. I think every show that has a black man on it, if it's not a black show, they're dating a white girl. And I can't watch TV anymore unless it's a reality show. But like, I really hated her to say that because that made me sad, and it made the reality of it. I thought, oh, that's just the stuff you see on TV. That's just TV. But then we went outside in the real world. We actually saw it in real life, and I was just like, more than I've ever really noticed it before. And I was just like, God damn, like that just proved me, to be like some sort of. So I don't know. But these are just some conversations that I've had with my daughter, and it's very interesting.